Good afternoon, everyone. LJ here, the Go Biz Guy, a podcast for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs. Listen, I cannot get rid of the static. It is my second podcast version, so I apologize. And, I got a little bit of music playing. I don't do that very often. So this is kind of some background information. I hope I can be cool with the music. So, listen, thank you so much for tuning in today and everything. I would be late to blast this out to my platform, but I apologize for the static. I have tried everything. I don't know what it is, but listen, I want to introduce to you a really nice sponsor. They're an awesome company. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Focus Marketing Company. Focus Marketing Company is more than just a marketing agency. They are your partner in success. Your goal is their focus. Whether you're looking to increase sales, build your brand, or connect with your audience, they've got you covered. They're talented, experienced team specializes in social media elevation. We're going to talk a little bit about that later on. Video production, strategic planning, marketing campaign development, and more. Choose Focus Marketing, where your goals are their focus. Visit them online today at focusmco.com, focusmco.com, and let them turn your vision into reality in 2024. So, they're a great company. Ben, who is one of the owners of the company, and he's a son-in-law, just FYI. But at any rate, he was very instrumental in structuring my logo. So just an idea. I told him I had this idea, and I emailed him this whole thing about my podcast, and he came back. It was early in the morning. I told him about this idea. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he gave me about 10 really nice logos to look at. Then I thought, well, you know what? I'll just I'll pick a couple of them, and then I'll have people pick out, the ones they like. So I did a survey, and then I picked out the one that had the most votes. And so at any rate, there you go, the Go Biz Guy. Great logo, great brand. And so they are very helpful in branding. They know what to do, and they are just unbelievable in their creativity. So give them a call, focusmco.com. So listen, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some things that I think is interesting. I want to talk a little bit about goal setting for 2024. And I just want to kind of give you an idea about what my goals are for 2024. And that is, I don't know, these are kind of broad spectrum, but you know what happens, I think, in our goal setting for the new year, we make New Year's resolutions and they're never kept, okay? And that's cool. So maybe what you want to do is you may want to just kind of like write down some goals. You don't have to do any New Year's resolutions, because I don't think goals are New Year's resolutions. I just think they're goals, okay? So here's my goals, okay? There's a few of them. I want to stop comparing myself to everybody else. I don't want to do this. This is like, I have an ego, and you have an ego. And so everybody wants to stop. They want to compare themselves to everybody else, and like, I have some friends that are podcasters, and I was like, okay, you're very professional. Look, you know what? We got to stop that. I got to stop it anyway. So that's me. So I got to stop overthinking. Okay. Sometimes I overthink things, and anyway, stop saying yes to everything. Okay. Because there has to be a no. There has to be like, okay, nah, I'm not going to do that, and feel confident in your what you say no to, and stop saying yes to everything. Stop trusting in myself, okay? I want to pray more. I want to trust in Jesus more. And that's tough too sometimes. I mean, I just, some of my wife and I are dealing with some real difficult issues in terms of her health, and it's tough to trust. but God's given us the grace. And anyway, enough about her. So listen, I want to stop taking hot showers, okay? I want to start taking cold ones. So this morning I did that. I took a cold one. I did the first one for like, I don't know, it was like 20 seconds, okay? And then I said, well, you know what? I got chill bumps all over. I'm going to turn it on hot, wash. Then I turn it back on cold. And I got to tell you, my wife and I have been up kind of most of the night because she had some difficulty. She had some seizures, and it just kept us up all night. It was not good. And so at any rate, so I took a cold shower and it woke me up. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. So let me share with you, my son-in-law, Stephen, he has, his dad has Parkinson's disease, and he's been on some medication and everything. So he did some research about cold showers. And so his dad's doing some cold showers. He started out as 1 minute, graduated to 2. Now he's doing 3 minutes a day. And it's helping him better than medication. So that's a little caveat for you. So good for him. Listen, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the New Year's, and we'll talk a little bit about some things in review and stuff. And it was interesting because some of you know how AI is, artificial intelligence. It is so overwhelming. And again, I apologize for the static. I do not know what's going on. Anyway, and so, I went on ChatGPT, which is a conduit for AI, and I typed in, okay, give me some information on forecasting for 2024 as part of my research, right? And so here's what they said. They said, I don't have the capabilities to access new information for everything. So there's a weak link in data, and there's a weak link in software all the time. There is no perfect software. I don't know why we get this thing where we think, oh my gosh, the software, the computer's not churning, da-da-da-da-da. Well, it's because it's not perfect. There's always a gap in software, and it's not perfect. It's in digits, it's in zeros and ones, and code, and, it's just not perfect. Anyway, on and on and on. So, it really, to get that response, it kind of solidified how the internet, since its inception, gathers up all that data and is dumped into the AI machine. And that way we can disseminate, information from the onset of the creation of the internet. The Army had a huge input into the internet. They created kind of an intranet, if you will, and they distributed information worldwide through this. And so that was the backbone of that. And then we had people like, Facebook and all these other people that jumped on board. They become billionaires through the internet. And so, at any rate, it's pretty cool. So listen, before I get into 2023, I want to chat a little bit about what really is happening because of past events that have gone on with our economy. And I think in order to establish a learning curve of our economy, I'm not talking about watching the news, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but I think we have to be kind of understanding of what's happened to our economy and what's happened in small businesses and entrepreneurs. And so I'd like to just kind of barely touch on an event that took place in 2019, 2020, which is kind of a benchmark of what's happening now, and it's called COVID. And some of you know about that. How did it have an effect on our economy? Well, we want to bring in names like Fauci. We want to bring in China. And if you watch the news like I did, you always saw the fact that, China was wearing masks. Fauci was wearing masks when he was on TV. And then he became the COVID czar. And then you saw politicians flip the switch, and political parties flipped the switch. And then he was still remaining the czar. And we really didn't see a convenient way to deal with COVID. from a political perspective, we had the Republicans in party, we had Democrats, and we had all kinds of mixed conveyed information. And so, at any rate, it had a significant blow to our economy. And blow to our economy, man. We've had several of those. We had the Great Depression. That was a blow. And then we had a reset of that. And so I don't know whether history is repeating itself because of COVID, but it's just phenomenal what's taken place. So there's been a huge decline in every aspect of our economy. You guys know what I'm talking about. I mean, there was a decline in air travel, 50% or better, because the bug was, it was like a virus. Well, it is a virus, and it went everywhere, okay? And it just wasn't stable enough in order for people to get a hold of it. And then there was introduction of like, okay, let's start a vaccination, let's do this, let's do that. People were, anyway. So revenue was down significantly in air travel. Indoor dining. Come on, man. Nobody wanted to go to indoor dining, and that fell significantly. In-person gatherings, like, family events and everything, that went down 50% because of the spread of the disease, come on, Lauren, LJ, get it right. Because of the virus. And so everything went down. Restaurants closed their doors, and some of them never opened back up. Can you imagine having a restaurant and this virus hit, your customers got sick, the virus is spreading all over the country, all over the world, and you had bills to pay, you had vendors to pay. What does an entrepreneur do at that time? How do they restructure things? And so that was a very, very defining moment. And here's another blow to our economy. And I could almost spend an hour talking about this, but school's closed. Okay. My daughter, she teaches second grade. I'm sure there's some teachers listening. She taught second grade during that time. She still does. But she put Zoom. Everybody was going to Zoom across the country and trying to teach their students, man. And how do you teach second graders on Zoom? You can't give them patty cakes. You can't give them anything, man. And it just is some crazy stuff. A lot of things happened to education. High school students really lost their focus. GPAs went down. Some people had to repeat the second, semester or whatever. And so this all has an effect on entry into college, entry into, the next grade level, because the education fell. So anyway, schools closed, GPAs went down. Kids could not hang in there. It's just the bottom line. They just couldn't. It almost took like a special student in order to hang in there and make things happen. So at any rate, it's crazy. Of course, we know the story that there was 1.1 million people that died as a result of COVID, and hospitals were overran. It was crazy. And there was mandatory. This is almost like a Gestapo type thing of closures of businesses. And the only thing that was really positive of the closure of that, people weren't running to, stores. They were buying online. They were doing some distribution online and everything else like that. And so there was a lot of entrepreneurs that blossomed through the COVID because of online increase. And then what happened is, because of business closing, like Amazon and other businesses that were kind of had call centers all over the country, they were putting people in their house to work from home. Okay, I've been doing that for quite some time, and it's not easy. I've always been blessed to get up, fix breakfast, get a pot of coffee, and I'd go to my computer, get on the phone, start making calls, make a day of it, set appointments, calls, whatever the case might be. But I've done that for so long that but a lot of people have a hard time working from home because they want to watch the news, they want to watch some TV, and it's very difficult. So there's loss of productivity as that process takes place as well. It really had an impact on so many factors within sports. Even in sports, I mean, people shut down, the organization, the leases and buildings, and they just shut down. They stopped playing and everything. That's a gazillion billion-dollar business. Unemployment took a dive. There was 3.3 million in March 26 that just were unemployed. So as you take a look at all this, over the whole process, the economy shed 850,000 jobs in March of 2020. So there was, it was terrible. So unemployment was at a high rate. Now let's move forward a little bit. Everybody gauged a political party by their employment rate. Like if it's gone down to 3.7 or 3 but how do you gauge somebody from 14, and how does that recover from 2020 to 2023? There are a lot of factors. We're not going to go into that. So what's pretty cool is and I just want to kind of touch base on some of this stuff, because I think the Gallup poll, I'm on their website right now, and I think it's pretty cool that they have some data, the year in review of 23, most notable findings, because here's what happened as a result of COVID. We had to reset our economy. We had to reset our politics. We had to reset our schools. We had to reset our businesses. So if you were an entrepreneur, you had to turn on a dime. You had to make some corrections in revenue, goal setting, investors, the list goes on. And so it was kind of critical that if you didn't do a mindset, or if you didn't do a reset, you were just going to go into the failure dump, if you will, and not return. So I think a lot of things, you can look at it positive, you look at it negative. But I think Gallup poll did some really interesting stuff. They interviewed a lot of people across the country to take a look at that. But I think if you take a look at 2020, I would say anyway, we're going to take a look at 2023 and notable findings that the Gallup poll did. And I think what's going to happen here is that we're going to take a look at here's the compound effect that COVID has. Okay. And I want to call this reset. Okay. Because I think what's happened is that, and political parties aside, I think we have to move forward. The entrepreneur spirit has to move forward. I think a lot of small businesses filed bankruptcy. They couldn't pay their bills. The government tried to set some stimulus, and packages, and there's government money. There was until January of this year, tax money that was available and everything. And so, I think that the government tried to do all their best stuff, to reset. But it's astronomical. You can't cover all the bases when you've had to file bankruptcy, or you've had to take a look at what's actually happening in our economy. So anyway, I'm going to just kind of review real quickly. There's several points about the year-end review. But I think it's a reset, kind of an up-to-date version of what actually happened as a result of COVID, because so many things happened. And so what basically happened, and I'll just read this. So the year was momentous to report on. And so from Republican, what a dude. From public opinions in the U.S. to views around the globe, 2023 was chock full of shifts, creating notable highs and lows, spanning U.S. politics and economics, global conflict, the workplace, well-being, and more. There are about 12 noticeable findings, but we're not going to go over all 12 of them. Okay, we're just going to kind of cover some of them. So if you take a look at the politics, what's interesting is, I hardly talk politics when I get into my podcast, but I'm just going to kind of share some things. So what happens is that we look at Russia, we look at China, and we notice that there was a shift in power from Russia, okay, because they kind of went down in their leadership. If you take a look at Putin, there was speculation that he was not alive and that he was dead. He had a disease, and then he pops back on the scene. Just a side note, he's a martial artist as well. But at any rate, so there's a lot of things that go on, and it had an effect on Europe. When they invaded Ukraine, all of a sudden it shift in politics and shift in money sources and everything. And you know what, man, I don't get a hold of how we can just write a check for billions of dollars to a country that is struggling. Okay? And let me just have another side note. I really don't think, people will probably say you're an idiot, but here's the deal. So if every time there's an election going on, there's Republican, Democrats, hopefully independents will start getting momentum. But, if there's a change, I don't think that Putin would have gone into Ukraine under the Trump, and I'm not a Trump fan, under a Trump regime, but he went in under Biden, okay? So left to right, soft to right. Here's the deal. I think they viewed Biden as a soft leader, but they used their strength to move in because they were showing they weren't having success in terms of their strength and everything. And so there's definitely a decline, even internally with the Russian people, about Putin. I mean, he's not very well viewed and everything. So the other thing of it is that we have Russia, not Russia, but we have China. There was some, excuse me, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, greatest enemy to U.S., okay? And it all has an effect on business, okay? Trust me, the imports from China are unbelievable, okay? And now people from China have bought up property, has tried to cover the debt in so many facets and everything to the U.S. And so it's really an intertwining of economies, and we owe them a lot of money. And so if you take a look at what's happened across the United States, or not the United States, but China. Okay, I've got a bark wake up call for the dogs. Okay, so good for me. All right, what one county anywhere in the world do you consider to be the United States' greatest enemy? Okay, and so listen. They've got China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. And China is one of the largest, okay? And so just about every time that I have a podcast, I get dog notification. And so that's with Noogie, Django, and Mila. There they go again. There's probably something going on outside that I can't see, but at any rate. So let's talk a little bit about, and I wish I could yell, shut up to them, but I can't yell shut up to them because I'm on the podcast. I don't want to blow your ears out, okay? So listen, there's management problems, okay, across the field. Managers have lost their perception, and they're always looking for greener sides on the, greener fields, because they're overwhelmed with what's going on in the workplace. Because of the disruption, again, COVID has caused chaos in the business environment, okay? It has caused chaos in the management side of things because things are chaotic still. from COVID. Okay. And so that's my benchmark. COVID is definitely a benchmark of, as we try to go forward, it's very difficult. And so, in order to retain talent and get some good employees, managers are overwhelmed. And so, it's a big factor in our economy because every time, it's kind of like politics, every time you get a new manager, you're going to get some new set of rules, or you're going to get a new company. They're going to fire people and they're going to bring their people in. And so it's just unbelievable. So at any rate, COVID is a big culprit. Listen, what's happening too is in the past year is that the media, people have lost trust in the media, man. I mean, it's, it's like, okay, I'm going to watch Fox because I'm a conservative. I'm going to watch CNN because I'm a liberal. I'm going to watch NBC, ABC, and NBC. Look, excuse me, that was a terrible burp. But at any rate, so what happens is that I like to watch NBC. Sometimes I'll watch CBS, ABC, Fox, CNN, because I just like to get a perspective of one or the other. I mean, I think, and then people beat them up. One fights against the other one says, "Oh, they're not that good." So it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So the Americans have lost confidence, man. They've just lost confidence in newspapers. Come on, man. Where's newspapers at? If you got a newspaper, people still, they subscribe to the newspaper. They still get the newspaper. And I don't want to go into age demographics because I haven't read a newspaper in years. I mean, probably for 15, 20 years. I used to subscribe to the Wall Street Journal when I was an executive with Junior Achievement. And so, just stay above. But at any rate, so TV and radio, it just, when it comes to reporting the news accurately, fairly, there's a great deal of respect and trust in the media now because everybody thinks everybody's lying. So, come on, man. I mean, it's pretty crazy. NATO is taking a blow in terms of trust. They are not, they've lost strength as a group just because of the bickering and fighting, and then there's the public confidence of the U.S. Supreme Court. Okay. There's just not trust in any leadership. The bottom line here is crazy, isn't it? So I go back to entrepreneurship. I think if we stay focused on entrepreneurship and we stay focused, you can even have entrepreneurship ideologies when you work. Okay, you can be creative. You can hopefully the person that you're employed with will allow you to share creativity, will bonus you out. I'll tell you what, I gave an idea to a telecommunication company once, and they made $1 million off my idea. Did I get comped? No, I did not get comped. Okay. So anyway, that was a bad experience. But I'm telling you what, if you have people that give you ideas like that, compensate them. Okay. And that's a problem within companies. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But anyway, the lack of the branch of government and everything. And so it's just a lack of confidence because everybody thinks everybody is a liar. They bring out stuff. I would hate to be. My dad ran for a city councilman in Ventura, California once, okay? I remember as a kid, the only involvement that I got was that I handed out pamphlets at Sears and Roebuck. Remember that name? Sears and Roebuck? And I'll tell you what, it was pretty cool. And he'd never been in politics before, and I think he came in second, and that was pretty cool. But I guess I'm talking about, okay, so listen, go back to your roots. There's always differences in politics, and it has to hamper on the judicial system, banks, and listen, there's an issue out there right now about safety of money in banks, okay? Everybody has this idea that I want to get richer. I want to invest in the stock market. The stock market is pretty interesting, to be honest with you. And it's pretty simple to understand, but at any rate, so, and then the other thing is crypto, and we had this, and then crypto went awry, and we had losses in that, and we had trust issues. But let me tell you something, banks, there's people that are very worried. Over 50% of the United States is worried about bank systems right now, okay? There's a lot of foreign banks that are coming in and buying up United States banks and the currency and the feds and everything. It's like, so, very interesting because it has an effect on businesses, okay? And sometimes they don't loan money out when the interest rates are high. And by the way, the feds keep on, rising the interest rate. I'm not really sure where we're at on rising points or whatever like that, but it has an effect. So we have to be cautious about how we do things. And also there's this issue about people are drinking less because there's a shift into legalized marijuana. So the drinking goes down and the increase in marijuana goes up because people think it's better, it's more effective, and so then there's a reliance on substance that are new and easier to access. So that all plays into effect, and so that has some things. And then there's like tainted water that's all over the country. We've got sewer lines mixing with water. We've got pollutions from chemical plants. We've got tree huggers that don't want chemicals to be used. We have people that don't want coal to be used. We have people that want windmills, turbos to generate power. I won't go into all that stuff. But anyway, so there's a level of worry about pollution of drinking water this past year. And always, I think, in every year, people are watching out for the obesity, their weight and everything. And I think adults that are 66 and above, about 30% of the population, worry about their weight. U.S. adults overall is 38%. So, there's been a big shift of that. So it's important. Listen, here's the thing that I talked a little bit about schools shutting down and everything. Bad grades in higher education, man. This all, if you trail the progression of, high school and from COVID and excuse me, people are not really hanging their hats on college. They're going to college because maybe they want to party. They go to college for the wrong reasons. Some of them are still living at home. Some of them have no idea what they're doing. And so I think, I wish that part of the curriculum, either in higher education or in high school, that we would give them an entrepreneur class. As I mentioned, I was executive director of junior achievement in a county in West Virginia. And I think that if we had components of that as a curriculum, I worked with some legislatures and trying to get that approved many, many years ago, and it was become political. And anyway, so I stepped out and never returned because I got, I shouldn't say I got tired of working with educators. It was really the State Board of Education. So I'm done with that. Anyway, so I won't go there. But anyway, the confidence of higher education, is not the best anymore. Okay. People just, students, they're not doing it. So here's, I think, a shift in the job market. Okay. I think what happens is that you have to understand that in order to get a good job and do some things, listen, you need a skill under your belt. Yeah? So I think trade schools are having an effect now. They got a boost probably 10 years ago. I know some family members of ours, they went to a 2-year college. They got a degree in a certain area. Now they're working for gas companies and making major bucks. Okay. So they weren't college material, very intelligent individuals, but, that's what they did. I got some neighbors that I can brag about that, is in their mid-20s, and he's making a killing. Bought some property, paid cash for a car. Okay. And not everybody gets that opportunity graduating from college because they think that they ought to get out of college and make $150,000 without climbing the ladder of success. Anyway, okay, enough of that. There's been a huge party shift in Republicans, Democrats. There's a wavelength of going on of distrust. And again, distrust is a core component of everything. And so, right or wrong, left or right, I'm not anymore. I really don't want to vote. I'm tired of the Republican Party. I'm tired of the Democrat Party. I'm tired of a lot of stuff that goes on in our economy and politics. I'm almost tired of local politics. I think we go on the good buddy system too much, and I just wish that we would cleanse that whole process and look at the issues in order to make light of things and make them better. Okay, I wish Democrats and Republicans would talk more. And I know I've got some people that just disagree with me totally on politics, and that's okay. So I just think we need to get together on that stuff. So and it's important that we take a look at some things. And so that's a Gallup poll. Review of 2023. I want to get on to 2024, and I just want to kind of make some comments, and we'll talk a little bit about this. But here's the thing. I think there's about 6 goals for 2024. I think what you need to take a look at as a business entrepreneur, I think you have to take a look at your business culture. Culture is a big thing. You see there was a lot of .coms that you saw people rolling around in roller skates and skateboards, and they're riding bikes and everything during the .com era. And I think that's pretty cool, because they gave the freedom of creativity in the .com. And I think they gave I worked for a company that was pretty cool. They sold websites, and what was pretty neat about that is the owner of the company built kind of a room. What would you call that? A studio, where his web developers and everything could take a break and play music. They're all musicians. And I think there's a correlation between zeros and ones and music. Okay. Just to give you a little caveat there. And I think what happens is they were jazz. They were played, trumpets, saxophones, very talented people. Then they would come out and develop websites, so I think, that was a culture that he developed. Okay. And I think that when you develop a culture for your employees to be creative, I think you're going to have, another burp. I think you're going to have significant, productivity, to be honest with you. And I think the other thing of it is that you're going to have to, and this is so critical nowadays, I don't think, and back to Focus Marketing Company, I mean, you have to expand your online presence. It is not as simple. And I think just because you have a website and just because you have this or that doesn't mean you know what's going on. I mean, there is some really heavy duty stuff going on. Google. Okay. All right. Well, people say, just Google. Just get some free ads and everything. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to waste money. Okay. You're going to waste a lot of time and energy and money if you don't have the right people. Focus. Get that focus on your online presence because it's so important. Just as an idea, for instance, my podcast, it's unbelievable. I push this out to over 100,000 people on my social media platforms. And it is crazy the people that I have listening to this thing all over the world. It's all over the United States. Will be a year old in March, I believe. And God's been good to us in that regard. And it's unbelievable. And so I think you have online presence is important. I want to expand my online presence as well. I would like to get a blog or something. I don't know. But I'm going to have to hire people to do it because I'm not that creative guy. I'm doing a blog. We've had some people on here that are just excellent, doing blogs and everything. I just can't do that. So anyway, expand your online presence. Here's the deal, man. You're in business for profit, man. You're not in business to be a social Okay, you could be that. Yeah, social, give back to your company. That's okay. Or your country or whatever. Okay, so that's cool. Reach a profit and set a revenue goal. So I have a revenue goal set for sponsorship. And, last year I started getting in sponsorship. This year I'm going to accelerate that because I think it's important. People say, well, don't, just focus on calling small businesses. Well, I'm not, I might call Spectrum and I might say, hey, listen, here's the deal. So at any rate, I think it's important that you reach a profit. So you know what profits are, right? It's your return on investment? Nah, maybe. Is your EBITDA? Okay, well that could be it. But I think what you need to do is you need to focus on that. You need to have a good CPA. You need to have a good lawyer. You need to surround yourself with good marketing people in order to produce that profit. It's going to cost you some money for those things, okay? But these people have master's degrees or they have MBAs or whatever the case might be. But you surround yourself with good people in order to reach that profit, and then you're able to set a revenue goal, okay? Improve employee satisfaction. There we go. Oh my gosh, LJ, too much coffee, not enough sleep. Okay, there you go. But see, that goes back to culture. I think if we do better culture, we're going to have employee satisfaction. And I think again, Walmart, Amazon, you compensate people, okay, and you pay them well. This stuff about giving people in the restaurant business, $20 an hour or whatever. Okay, I can see that. But listen, set the tone for their satisfaction. Okay, reward them. And I had a consulting business. I had 5 consultants. They each had a special vertical that they were specialists in and everything. Okay, and I compensated them well. We were on the verge of buying company cars for them because I love those guys. They get paid hourly. We'd bill out to hospitals, attorney firms. Anyway, so it's all good. Expand your workforce. Okay, when you expand your workforce, you have to have all these ingredients up at top here, or they're not. You can't expand your workforce. And by the way, if you expand your workforce, you've got to do me a favor. Okay, and I think corporately, around the globe, I don't care what you do, man, you have got to set some core values. I know a company, I know a Mexican restaurant here, the owners, they've been on my podcast, and I was so impressed with them when I saw them develop their Facebook space. These guys are funny. They're good. They do a lot of Facebook stuff. But anyway, listen, what they do is really cool, is they have some core values. And when they're training people and they go over their core values, customer service, all this stuff, they make a comment. They make a statement. They say, listen, if you can't abide by our core values, we don't want you here. Okay. So you probably ought to hit the door. I think that's so cool because I think setting the tone for core values will give you the benefit of having good people. Okay. And not just somebody that wants to come to work and don't show up for work, but it gives you the benefit of saying, okay, these people, and then you reward them. Okay. And you give them bonuses at the end of the year. You give them profit sharing. You give them insurance, okay? Everybody says, well, I can't afford insurance. Well, make some more profits in order to do that. Keep your people in retention factors, okay? Enough of that. Improve customer service. And I'm just about ready to wrap this up. If you do not do your job on customer service, you will fail. I am a big, big proponent of customer service. Our next podcast, I'm going to have a professional trainer talk about customer service on a high note, okay? Because it's important. Listen, I go into restaurants. I've seen people, in waiters. I've been to retail shops. Been, getting my groceries, and you can tell who has good customer service intentions. But I got to tell you, you've got to train your people to be better customer service oriented. If you don't, the drive-through and all this stuff, man, you got to get a hold of some good ideas, man, and you got to train these people. If you want to reset your business for 2024, you have got to have better customer service, and it's so important. So listen, with that, I'm done. Okay. Happy New Year's. I mean, you guys, like I said, I've got listeners all over the world, all over the country, and I just really appreciate the listening and everything. And I hope you have a blessed, very blessed New Year's. And I want to say this. Here's the deal. In my opinion, and I think it's factual, that God is in control of everything that takes place. Good, bad, or indifferent, God is in control. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And all stuff in between is just crazy stuff that we deal with. Set your goals. Do your goals. Try to pray more. Try to look to God for answers. And I just think you got to understand that God's in control. Whatever happens in 2024. Take care and God bless. Thank you.